Pat Nunley, part of our show many times. I see him at the gym. Former Baylor men's basketball player and also color analyst. Pat, first of all, congratulations. Are you going in as a combo deal, kind of like a fast food restaurant? And obviously, we know you were a star in basketball. You downplay that, but congratulations, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, guys, it is the honor of a lifetime. It is. And I'm a little overwhelmed, honestly. I never expected it, never thought about it. The call that I got from Walter Abercrombie to tell me that I'd been selected was completely out of the blue. So I still haven't got my arms around it, but I am honored, elated, beyond belief. It's really even beyond words. So to answer your question, Smokey, I don't know. Maybe it's the combo deal. I'm not going to overthink it. All I know is I've been selected, and there's a committee that's charged with all the criteria and making the selection. And so I just again can't even find the words to describe certainly how I feel today, but how I felt that moment Walter called me and told me. In fact, I was so stunned that there was silence, and Walter was going, "Pat, are you there? Are you there? Did I lose you? Did we get disconnected?" So it's wonderful. It's been a great couple of days for sure.
Is there you say you didn't expect it. So when you get a call from Walter, of course, we all know he works with the alumni inside the Letterman's, letter winners, I guess it's under the umbrella. So when his name showed up on your phone, the number, you had no clue, right?
No clue. Zero clue. In fact, I was out back washing windows at my house, and it's about 100 degrees outside, and I get this call from Walter. I'm going, what does Walter want from me on a Saturday afternoon? And again, he told me, and I thought the heat's gotten me. I'm delirious. Like I'm hallucinating right now. Because I can't believe I heard what I think I heard. And then very quickly after that, I got a call from J-Mo to congratulate me. Mm-hmm. And that's when I confirmed with him that I had not dreamed the whole thing up. It was a great day. I'll never forget it. But it was a call out of the blue.
Pat, just, I guess, who were the first person you told, and what was it like, I guess, being able to spread the word, and what was some of that reaction around your family and loved ones? Yeah,
good question. I came inside and, again, sort of stunned and walking around in the daze, and I told my wife. And then, this was like a couple of weeks ago, and so it had not been officially announced, and I wanted to be careful about that. So I was very selective, and, of course, I let my family know. But I really didn't tell anybody else. And honestly, I spent the better part of a couple of weeks just introspective and thought a lot. And, because 41 years doing radio and then 4 years as a player, that's a long time. And I just was flooded with memories. I thought about people. I thought about the journey. I thought about the good times and the bad times in Baylor basketball. I thought about the good times and bad times in my life. And it was really almost good that I couldn't tell anybody because I needed 2 weeks to myself to think about it. And I did a lot, believe me, and had a lot to think about, all positive. And so I had to be selective, but it worked out that it was better that I needed to be because I had an awful lot to just chew on and try to digest before they officially announced it.
All right, so I'm going to move forward in November. I don't know how it goes down. I know there's a dinner and I mean, can you get through the acceptance speech?
I don't know. That's another good question. You guys asked really good questions. I don't know. I'm going to start thinking about what in the world I can say, and the challenge is going to be not to stay up there too long. Mm-hmm. But you think about. I mean, again. 45 years, it'll be 47 when we start the season next year. It's a long time to reduce into 3 or 4 minutes, but they'll find a way. But yeah, I'll be honest with you guys too. I was emotional. I was very emotional, not necessarily with Walter, but I had to choke back a little bit. I did. Just totally, completely unexpected. Never even thought that was in the cards. Never thought about it, whether I was or I wasn't. And I look at the roster of Hall of Fame members, and oh my goodness! I mean, you mentioned J.D. Walton, Max Muncy is coming in, Vinny's in there, Terry's in there. I mean, Mike Singletary is in there. So I look at that list and I'm going, I'm not sure I belong, but you know what? I'm not gonna second guess that. If I'm in, I'm in. Somebody decided, and I'm going.
Yeah, don't talk them out of it now.
Yeah, no, yeah, don't.
No.
You know, the question I've had you, and we've had you on this show, or even when we were at the radio station, a bunch about basketball, about Baylor, all the games and tournaments and the championship, whatever. But I've never asked you. Your career at Baylor ended in 1981. You began broadcasting like a year later. How did that go about? I've never asked you that question.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I graduated in May of 81, and I'm going to start law school in February of 82. I'd been accepted. So I'm working at First Federal Savings and Loan on Austin Avenue for J. Harry Jeans, and I'm just down there working. I can't even remember what I was doing. And one day, you talk about a call out of the blue. I got a call from Mr. Fallon, Frank Fallon, who had done play-by-play. Dave South was his color commentator for years, for all the years that I was at Baylor playing. And Pat, this is Frank Fallon. Oh, hi, Mr. Fallon. He said, look, I'm coming over from KWTX to start the Baylor Radio Network for athletics. And I was wondering if you would help me start it by doing color commentary on the broadcast.
Mm.
And again, stunned silence. And I, Pat, are you there? Are you there? I said, well, Frank, sure, of course. Yeah. And so we had that conversation, what's involved. And along the way, I said, well, Frank, just curious, does this pay anything? He said, well, Pat, no, it doesn't. And in fact, that's why I'm calling you. So off we went. And I'll never, there are a handful of calls I'll never forget. That's one of them. Because this guy at this time, as you guys may know, he was legendary already. He was a national sports broadcasting figure. He was as good as it gets. And all of a sudden, I'm going to be sitting next to as good as it gets in the business. And I had rarely spoken into a microphone before. And he took a chance. And, I was the right guy only because I was willing to work for free and I knew the program. And then off we went. And, here I am all these many, many years later.
It's fantastic. So now Baylor appears to have their roster set. It took a lot of patience because they had to wait. Adam Flagler, they had to wait with obviously Jalen Bridges, among others. And they knew who was coming in as incoming freshmen. And then there was this or there was that. In the end, have you even had time to kind of look at who they are and kind of like what the ingredients are on this pizza for Scott Drew and his staff?
Yeah, I've looked at it. And the one thing you can rest assured of with Scott is he's going to have players. He's going to have guys. And there's, as you guys know as well, there's a lot more to it than just that. You need chemistry. You got to find the right guys. And, there's a real difference when you get out on the floor and there's a different colored jersey and a crowd and all that. But, yeah, I think the roster to me looks good. I was over there in, I guess a couple of weeks ago. My grandson was in Coach Drew's camp. I went over there and just said hello to the coaches and watched camp a little bit. And this is June. Normally these guys are walking around in sandals and, their feet are kicked up on the desk. These guys, it was frenetic. These guys are running around like crazy, trying to work the transfer portal. Like you said, is Bridges coming? Is he going? What else is out there? What holes do we have to fill? They don't know. What's it going to take to fill them with NIL and all of that? So it was crazy. And it's just a new day for those coaches. But I do think they've finally settled in, and it's a good roster. I think it's heavily guard laden, which is, I think, the way Scott has built his programs. Really good guards who can really score. And I think that's what they've got coming back. I think they're a little better defensively at the guard spot. They needed that. and they've got some rim protection with the new kid coming in. Missy, I think, is his name. I'll get that right when we've got to broadcast the game. But Ajanwana, not sure what we get back with JTT. But at the end of the day, it's a good roster with really good players. The McDonald's All-American, the top 30 guard. So, they'll get the guys. The question is, what can you do with them? And what did everybody else get? Because the transfer portal changes everything.
Pat, what were your impressions of just being around Keontae George there for a few months? It's a short stay, but that was expected. I mean, he was a guy that you knew when they recruited him, he could very well be a lottery pick. He ends up just outside of the lottery going to Utah. So I guess your thoughts on, his opportunity now in the NBA to carry the Baylor banner along with a lot of other guys. And, I mean, this NBA I guess, pool of players that Scott Drew suddenly has when you look at it. I mean, it's historical from a Baylor perspective, the amount of guys in the league that are also going to have impacts as well. Just your kind of thoughts summarizing all of that and Keontae George in particular.
Yeah, and that's going to continue, Craig. I mean, he's bringing guys in that can go to the league, and there are a number of guys on his roster now that will, I think, make that same move. First of all, about Keontae, I liked him as a person. I thought he was a good kid. He was kind. I think he was respectful in everything that he did. By all accounts, he was a really good teammate. So I'm glad to see this for him. And all I know really is what I read, NBA scouts have to say about him, other coaches have to say about him. And I think he's got a great shot. I heard somebody say, it may have been Bill Raftery, tell me one day before a game, we're doing a Baylor game, and he's there doing TV. He said he thought that Keontae George would be a better pro than he was a college player. I thought that made sense. He's got some developing to do. I think he's got to defend. He just has to. I think it's a little bit of a myth that they don't defend in the NBA. They defend more than you think they do. That's how Davion Mitchell has made himself. He's offensively, he's come around, but defensively, he came in and made his mark on the league and on his team by what he does on the defensive end. So I think Keontae's got a great shot. He does some really special things offensively. He's good size, and I think he's got a good attitude. He is a hard worker. So I'm his biggest fan. And I hope it goes well for him because I think he does deserve it. And this is the moment for him. This is what he's been waiting for his whole life. And I'm just glad it happened for him.
I know that the roster is kind of still, I'm trying to learn it myself, but the guard out of VCU and the guard out of Toledo, Ray J, you mentioned that they have a bunch of guards, and Scott Drew and guards, that just seems to go. Used to be always the big dudes inside. Either one of them, someone that, this is going to be like interchangeable type parts that they have, where last year they were kind of stuck in some ways?
I think so. I still think that by the time you get to conference, it's an 8 or 9 guy rotation. I know Scott said earlier in the year last year that it could be more than that, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is, right? So it's up for grabs in the backcourt, but I think they needed a done that kind of guy, and they got that with Dennis from Toledo, and they needed some help defensively, and I think they got that with Jaden Nunn. And then the other guys that are back there are guys that are just really good guards. Walters is a guy that's maybe ultimately a pro. Little may go into that category as well. So they're loaded there. It's just going to be interesting to see how they play together. And the guy that continues to just fly under the radar is Langston Love. And he's going to be healthy. He'll be 100% come basketball season if he's not already. And I think he's going to surprise some people. So it's another guy that's going to get minutes. He needs minutes. And then with a very young but rim protecting kind of front line, and then Jalen Bridges back, this could be a really good team. I think it will be. The last thing, Pat, again, congratulations on the call and the emotions and the raw.
of how you shared it even with us, and you could feel it in your voice and also in how you told the story. Langston Love is a thick kid. I mean by that, he has some physicality. It's just obviously he had to battle the injuries the first year and on and off a little bit last year. But I think that they need some of that as well with what you mentioned, with what the grit that Nunn brings to the table on the defensive end.
Yeah, and you think back, and it's a little hazy to me right now, but there were 2 or 3 games this past year where we don't win the game without Langston Love. It may have even been Kansas, where one of those games, big game, high profile, he scored 9 in a row and really impacted the game. So we've seen glimpses of what he can do, and he still was never 100% last year. I think he'll be a 100% with the season this year. And there's a role for him because he is big. You know, the guards Baylor had last year were a little undersized, very effective, very good, obviously, but not big, strong kids. And Love fits that mold. And I don't know much about Nunn other than athletically he's gifted and he's got a defensive mindset. So they filled some holes for sure. But Love is going to be a factor, I really believe, finally, now that he's healthy.
Congratulations, Pat. We'll see you soon. Thanks for your time, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Pat Nunley, broadcast analyst for Baylor men's basketball. And you could just almost